Yes, I am wearing a seatbelt while in park. Very odd, very confusing, I know. But what seems to be very odd and very confusing for most people out there is this Kyle Larson not being able to run Knoxville next year. NASCAR has scheduled a Richmond Raceway event or Speedway or whatever that thing is they call it there in Virginia weekend on Saturday night next year at the Knoxville Nationals, conflicting with Kyle Larson's ability to run the Knoxville Nationals. Now, the reason I say confusion is I've had 3 or 4 very prominent individuals in the media spectrum of the world literally message me about how they believe that this is the World of Outlaws and Knoxville Raceway colluding to keep Kyle Larson from competing at the Knoxville Nationals. They moved their date somehow on top of the NASCAR date, even though NASCAR has been going to Watkins Glen, I believe, the last 2 years after Iowa Speedway, and now they're going to Richmond after Iowa Speedway for some reason. And that's where my angle on this would come from. First of all, the angle of Knoxville and the World of Outlaws doing this to keep Kyle from running and punishing high limit. This is like literally what people were saying to me. That is just ridiculous. World of Outlaws, Knoxville Raceway still want sprint car racing to be big, even though World of Outlaws is somewhat arrogancy in some of their aspects. I still think they do see the marketability and growth through the rivalry and everybody racing against one another, and Kyle and David Gravel and all this stuff. They see the marketability, the growth that has done, the expansion to the sport. And guess who else has saw that? CART. CART has seen that. What is CART? Oh my God. That's that thing that was the biggest American motorsports thing in the world until this little redneck rough racing kind of thing called NASCAR came along and took over the American motorsports racing scene as the #1 dominant form. So NASCAR knows how the little rednecks driving in circles, if it gets enough pull, if it gets enough prowess behind it, no matter how big these people on top think they are, we could take them over. We know, we've done it. Just like what I think has happened here. NASCAR is seeing how big this sprint car thing is getting. NASCAR saw how when the Kyle-David Gravel rivalry went to Knoxville, not only did David come and beat their man, but also you have Ryan Timms, a young star, saying that they got the best race in the world in Knoxville, and he wants to be a future sprint car driver. He ain't aspiring to be another Cole Trickle and go to NASCAR and blah, blah, blah. They're seeing this as well. They're seeing how sprint car racing is the NASCAR of the 90s, 80s era, and they potentially could be CART.